As I've stated in previous two videos, the EU, to anyone who is new to it, uh, it's very vast and it can be complex. So, one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell you a few things that, unless you really want to watch them or read them, these are areas you can avoid. They don't really fit into the canon. Some of them mess up the canon. So it really depends on if you want to watch them or read them for your own purposes and collect them. But these are just things I'm saying that you don't need to have, you don't need to collect if you don't want to. Now, some of these things I do have, and because I wanted them, but some of them I'm actually looking to get rid of. I don't need them. It's actually makes it a little more confusing to try and put everything together. So these are just some of the areas that, while you can either read or watch them, in fact, I'll even tell you the ones I'd recommend you watch just for fun if you haven't already seen them. But in the grand scheme of it, they're not needed for canon and they will actually cause more confusion than anything else. So, all right, there goes my alarm. So these are certain shows that came out between the 80s and the 2000 and mid 2000s. So let's take a look. Okay, Star Wars: The Holiday Special. Okay, I've seen Star Wars: The Holiday Special. I did get a copy of it off of eBay. You can get it if you want. Uh, It's really bad. I mean, it's really bad. Only really diehard fans who just want to see how bad it is. I'm pretty sure somebody's got it on YouTube if you really want to try and watch it. The quality is terrible. The acting is horrible. You can tell they were just there for the paycheck. Uh, George Lucas hates this. He really does. So I would avoid that one. I seriously would, because it is not, it really doesn't fit into Star Wars at all. It was really just some kind of cash cow. Um, Droids and Ewoks. Okay. The thing about Droids and Ewoks was there really was no hierarchy of canon. They were just created. They were made for kids in the 80s. If you're really, and for a long time you couldn't watch the entire series. Pretty much all you get is a few DVDs of certain ones they made into movies. Now I know Disney Plus has the Droids and the Ewoks available, and if you want to see them, I'd say go for it, or your kids might like it if they're into that kind of nostalgia stuff. But honestly, other than them being funny, I actually thought Droids was actually quite entertaining. Ewoks, not so much. Found it very silly even as a child. So you can watch those if you want. They're not really going to add anything to it. Now, Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Star Wars: Clone Wars are two different things. Star Wars Clone Wars is the little shorts they had on Cartoon Network. They're actually entertaining. I enjoyed them. They're very short stories. And if you want to, you can put them in, or at least you could until Star Wars The Clone Wars came out. But as far as trying to fit them into canon, I would not bother. But if you want to watch them, they are actually entertaining. I did enjoy that show and I would recommend it if you like it. The Clone Wars is was the first level of T canon that I had mentioned in a previous one. Here's the thing. In the new Disney, this fits. The thing was, this came out so long after uh, Del Rey and Dark Horse had done their run that it changed so many aspects. It changed The Mandalorian. It crossed a lot of books. In fact, it actually got the author of Republic Commando and Imperial Commando. She quit because she created the entire Mandalorian culture out of it, out of what she had, and this changed the entire Mandalorian culture, and they wanted her to retcon it with her next book, which was supposed to be the second Imperial Commando, and she just was like, "No, I'm not doing that." The Ewoks movies I mean, if you like them, that's fine. I personally don't like them. I didn't like them really as a kid. They don't really bring anything. I mean, honestly, the Ewok story really doesn't add anything past Return of the Jedi. So, and unfortunately, Clone Wars, when it created the T canon, is what really started messing up before Disney bought, which was like, okay, thank God. So, these are the areas I would avoid that you don't need. They're not going to add anything to the story, except for maybe Star Wars Clone Wars. Okay, so this Darth Maul book here is technically considered part of both canons. The issue with that is that's when the T canon, because up until Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Rebels, we did not know Darth Maul was still alive. It had never been. It was always established he'd been dead. This does go into his backstory, but I never really found Maul to be that interesting of a character. I did not read this. I did not want to try because it follows in line with the T canon stuff and just really does not fit. Pretty much anything with Ahsoka Tano in it is not going to fit either. The Clone Wars, the Ewoks, and Clone Wars, these are all digest books. They're very small, they're very quick to read. They're kind of anthology based, and honestly, the storylines are very silly at times, over the top, and I just didn't like them. But and like I said, they don't add really any value to the canon. Visionaries is pretty much H canon is pretty much apocrypha. Tales is apocrypha. Things like the Star Wars 3D there, that's very hard to find. I believe that was a British production. I've never seen it. It would be very difficult to find. It's from what I've seen, it's pretty much just black and white with some color in it to make it 3D. And these don't add really anything. Most of the tales are, except for maybe I think a couple of stories, are all apocrypha. Most everything else in there, yeah, pretty much everything in there is apocrypha. Star Wars Adventures is another one that is just a digest. Droids and the Ewoks are based off the cartoon series. They do not add a whole lot. Sorry about this here. I don't know why that popped in. I didn't have any interest in putting a title in. Now, the Star Wars I've got in here is the original Marvel run. And it has a lot of continuity errors because they were making it up as they go. There's actually a Jabba the Hutt. I think it's Jabba. And this is before Return of the Jedi, so we didn't know what Jabba looked like. The coloring is really bad. The lightsabers constantly change color. It's not a very entertaining comic. It ran for about 107 issues, and then that's pretty much where it stopped. It does go from the time of A New Hope to a little past Return of the Jedi with another invasion from another force. And they kind of take them out pretty quick. So these you can buy. You can buy the Star Wars ones in trade paperback. The Droids and the Ewoks are difficult to find. I did have them. I eventually sold them. These are just certain areas, and most of this is pretty much S canon. So these are not areas that you need to have in order to enjoy. So if you want to try and collect them as a collector, or you want to read them just to see what the early stories of Star Wars were being made before really the canon got centralized, go for it. But these are areas, if you're just looking to kind of streamline the reading you want of Star Wars EU, these are areas I would avoid. You don't really need to spend your money on them. Some of them are very hard to find. Some of them are very expensive. So I would leave it up to you. But these are areas you do not need to go into, as most of them would pretty much be labeled as canon and add no real value. All right, folks, that's it for this one.